my wife, and we're hockey fans here in Canada, so my wife says, I wish I was one of two things, a real estate deal or a Montreal Canadian, because I love both of those more than anything else on the whole entire planet. So that's, I just do what I love and what I'm passionate about. So I'm excited to spend Wednesday morning with you guys, and thanks for coming, everybody that's in the room there. I've got some exciting information to share with you guys on another, what I call the Fab 5 lead generation performance tools and that. So we're going to talk about today the art, and I believe it's an art, and then the skill set and the finesse of the door knock, and going through that door knocking process. And I can speak to this topic because I've got a little bit of experience in it. So before I got into real estate, I got a job, or I received a job and an opportunity with a company by the name of Collier's Encyclopedias. And when I first started with them, it was in the early 90s, and I was studying to be a music band teacher. So my first call in this industry was not real estate related. It was going to be a high school band teacher. And then I got this job working for these guys and doing door-to-door sales. And at first I'm like, okay, this is new to me. And what they did was they would put us through a 5-day boot camp, and we would memorize a 3-hour script, a 3-hour canned presentation. And we would spend 5 straight days from 9 in the morning till 5 at night learning the script and learning the dialogue and getting comfortable with what we're going to say and how we're going to say it. So I guess a couple things I learned from that is that it's amazing to me that I don't know if agents even spend 5 minutes preparing what they're going to say and how they're going to say it. Never mind 5 days of boot camp and that. We used to tape record ourselves. So for those of you in the room that don't know what a tape recorder is, it was this thing that used to, a device that you press a button and you record and play it back, and these little plastic little things called tapes and that. And so we used to use those to record ourselves and play it back and listen. And we're like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. I'm going to redo that and re-record it, play it back, and listen to yourself. And so you have the device right in your hand. All of you have your phones to be able to do that same thing and to even video yourself and see what you do and how you say it and how you deliver it. So I encourage you, the first thing I learned was practice, 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 practice. Like if you want to be an effective communicator and somebody that's engaging and that somebody's going to get people and grab people's attention, you got to practice. So we practice, boy, we practice and that, and put that practice into place. The other thing I learned from this experience of doing door-to-doors is that I'm going to tell you, we would knock on 200-300 doors a night, you guys. 200-300, and not once, I can honestly say, did anybody ever chew me up and spit me out. There was no bad people out there. And so my fear was, oh my gosh, people are mean and people are nasty and this and that. That is the furthest thing from the truth in that. So do not let the little voice in your head and the false evidence becoming real and your thoughts about people out there. Generally, people are good. People are nice out there. And I guess the one thing I'll tell you is that when you're door knocking, you know what the biggest challenge is? Is to get on and see someone else, because people are so lonely, they can't stop talking. And you're like, holy cow, I've only got one door here, and I've been an hour in because this person's just opened up and told me their whole entire life and too much information, stories and that, and I can't get on and roll on and get to more people and cover more territory. So guys, people are generally nice out there. They are not what you think it is, and that. So don't let that false thought and that come into play in that when you're out there and doing that. Because I have knocked on hundreds, thousands of doors and that, and generally people are amazingly kind and nice. And I think the biggest thing is that you feel bad cutting them off because you got to move on and go to the next door. If they don't want to list their house, they don't have a referral, or don't have anything of that. And I hate doing that, but you try to keep yourself moving and keep going on. And then the other thing too is that I think in our industry, people generally got to find out whether they can like us, whether they can trust us and do that. And there's very few things from a lead gen standpoint that give us the opportunity to be able to get people to know us, to trust us and like us. And that face-to-face always does that. And so, don't disregard the power of that face-to-face and that. I talk about sales and the industry, whether you like to, it's not real estate. You sign up for sales. It's sales. That's the business we're in. And it's a full contact sport. Would everybody agree? It is belly to belly, face to face, full contact. If you're not talking with people, then you're not going to be able to get a listing or sale. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Right? So it's full contact. This is full contact lead gen. That's why it works. It's belly to belly. It's an opportunity for them to get to know me. It's whether they can trust me, whether they can like me. When you all applied with Ramazan and with Jamil, you all told them that you love people. And we laugh and joke as brokers. We're like, give it time because you won't like people as much, right? And so we love your enthusiasm and your belief that you're going to love people, but they're a little bit crazy and they get a little bit annoying in that after a while, and that, so you don't love them as much. But the reality is that you got to go talk to the people. And the number one reason why I think people don't talk to people is because of one thought. They might be asked a question they don't know the answer to, so that basically disables someone else going out there and talking to someone in fear of they might be asked a question they don't know the answer to. So guys, if that's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you today, is somebody might ask you a question you don't know the answer to, what is your response to that question? You know what? I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know. And when you tell somebody the truth, they're going to say, wow, what a novel concept. A salesperson telling the truth and actually telling me that they don't know the answer to it, and I'll get that answer for them if that's important to them. That's a revelation for most people out there when they have salespeople telling them the truth that they don't answer that question. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, guys, that's the worst thing that's going to happen to you. Is somebody's going to ask you a question you know the answer to. Your response is, hey, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. But if that question is important to you and the answer is important, I'm going to find out and I'm going to get back to you. Now, find out, get back to them, because if you don't get back to them, you don't find out, then your integrity is shot because you told somebody you do something and you don't do it. That's not a good way to build a real estate and sales and relationship career, is by overpromising and underdelivering. Okay? Now, strongest form of communication. 86% of communication, you heard this over and over again, is nonverbal. What I mean by that is that it is tone, eye contact, body language, it's voice inflection, it's all of the things that are critical to communication that the art of door knocking allows us to deliver. So now you're becoming 86% more effective than when you're calling, when you're texting, when you're doing all the other emailing and that. All of that can risk running lost in translation, but face-to-face, door-to-door, that doesn't lose that powerful 86% edge on communication. Okay? So don't underestimate the power of that 86% and how you communicate. Okay? And so all of us all told your broker managers that I love people and I'm at my best face-to-face. Would you all agree you're at your best face-to-face?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and that's where you're natural, and that's where you're you, and that's where you become human in that. And so you kind of want to spend your time prospecting, lead generating, where you're at your best and where you're at in that. And that's where I say the art of door knocking is always going to be in that Fab Five of lead generation, and one of the most effective ways, because you are now playing in an arena where you're at your best in your face-to-face. Okay? So moving forward, the gold. So your goal, the number one goal and your gold when you're out door knocking, is not to get a listing and not to get a sale. That's the maraschino cherry and the sprinkles and the whipped cream on top. What our goal is NAR says that 4 out of 5 people would use their same agent again, but don't. Right? So there is an 86 or 80% chance that I'm going out today to talk to people that won't use their same agent again. Why do they not use their same agent again, guys? Is it because they suck? Why is it the number one reason why they don't use their agent again?
They don't stay in touch.
Bingo. Right? We don't stay in touch. We love them. We leave them. We don't communicate. We don't connect with them. We don't treat them. We treat them like a transaction. We're in, we're out, and they are done and don't know it, and there's no top of mind. So there's an 80%. How exciting is that? I'm going out to use a form and methodology of lead generation that has an 80% odds of me possibly becoming someone's agent of choice now. That excites me. I don't know about you, but I'd rather go out and do something that gives me 80% odds than something that gives me 1.5% odds. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So door knocking gives you that day. So all I'm doing, my number one goal out, is to find the people that don't continue to have that same agent relationship, that don't have a relationship, that don't have an agent of choice, and my goal is to become their agent of choice. Now, if I get a listing appointment, if I get a referral, if I get a buying opportunity, that's gold and that's extra. But the goal and the number one focus for me is to be able to find the people that don't have an agent of choice. And imagine if you added one person a day for 365 days that you become their agent of choice. What would 365 people the next year, you becoming their agent of choice, do to your business and do to your productivity and your income?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not asking you to do 10 a day. I'm asking you just to go out there and find one a day, every day, 365. What would 365 people do to your bottom line? We all know what that would do to our bottom line in that. So, and we always underestimate the power of the simple. It really is that simple. I'm just going out there. When I was selling encyclopedias, I had a belief that my belief is that I was on a mission from God against illiteracy, and these people needed the books to educate their children to become smarter, right? And to be able to read and write and do those things. And so you have to have that belief system, and you have to have that energy and enthusiasm when you're at the door. Do people respond to people that are energetic and passionate and excited, or do they respond to Eeyore when you're up there? Hello, my name's Wade. Oh dear, right? They don't respond to that. So you have to be excited about it, that I'm out to find the 80% of people that don't have an agent of choice, because I believe that I should be their agent of choice. Would you all agree? And that's that you need to have that belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your goal is to find those people that don't have an agent of choice, and you, exciting and passionately, know that you want to become their agent of choice. Okay, now there are 4 ways, typical classic ways of doing a door knock. Okay, and there are the okay approaches, the good approaches, the better approaches, and the best approaches. Okay, and we're going to go through all 4 approaches and how to dialogue them and script them, and that, yes, I just said that, dialogue and script them so that you can practice. Okay, practice. But you're going to use these 4 methodologies. I'm going to encourage you to use 2 of the 4, right? 2 are better, way better, and more effective than the other, and I'll explain why. But at the end of the day, when you go out, remember, your number 1 goal is to add people and become their agent of choice. That's why you're out there. If you get a listing, you get an appointment, everything else, that is just bonus for your efforts, okay? So the bona fide buyer approach, the best and most powerful, impactful method of door knocking, using your buyer or someone else in your office's buyer and approaching it that way, okay? And I'm going to explain how to do that. The better approach, or a better approach, is the just sold. So using a brokerage's just sold or your own recent sale and using that approach, letting them know that you still have people looking. A good approach is, hey, we just listed something, we want to share the new benchmark asking price. That's a good approach. And then an okay approach is inviting them to your open house and seeing if they can come for a private preview or showing of the open house for the neighbors and coming earlier than that, okay? Those are the 4 different approaches that I'm going to recommend. 2 of the 4 more than the 4, okay? And again, our goal, adding people to your database, becoming their agent of choice. So let's go through it. The bona fide buyer approach. Why this is the single most powerful is that it triggers the possibility of you having somebody that might buy their home, and that captures people's interest. But I'm going to capture it 2 ways. Number 1, from the greed factor, meaning that I might have some money in my hand here with these people to buy your home. Number 2, I'm going to come from a position of help. So if I came to your door and said, hey, my name is Wade and I'm with Cornerstone Real Estate, and I'm wondering, could you help me? What would everybody in the room's initial response be?
Sure.
Hey, what's wrong? Like, how can I help? What's going on, right? Okay, so you're going with that approach of saying that, you know what, I need your help. Could you help me? Okay, so you're in the area, right, to find someone who may want to sell, right, and that is ready and willing and able. Okay, so you're using a willing and able buyer that wants to buy, not one that has something else to sell or something else that they're in a position to buy. Does everybody in the room have a bona fide legitimate buyer, or does the office have a legitimate bona fide buyer that they would, if they found it, the buyer would buy?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you don't, find a peer in the company that does, approach them, get them to tell a little bit about their buyer. So why is it important that you tell a little bit about your buyer and humanize them and share it versus just making it up? Well, one is being lying and unethical, but when you share a little bit and tell their story, now people even connect deeper because they think that you have a real person, and you're making that human connection with them by telling their story. Okay, so if I'm using one of Jamila Ramez's buyers, I need those guys to maybe give me their first names, maybe where they originally are from, what they do for a living, the name of their dog or their cat or their children. I just need to be able to tell a story so that I can connect on that human connection level with the people, to be able to explain to them that I do have somebody in there real and they're bona fide. Okay? Now, I've promised Jeff and Sue that nothing works for them, and I'm going to go out and find it. Okay? And I'm going to go out and help them find it. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to go out and create an opportunity that, and I'm wondering if you could help me help this couple, right? And their dog Bootsy, and they work at this shop and she works here, and I tell that story. And then in my mind, who wouldn't want to help you, this couple or these people in that dog Bootsy, try and find something that they could buy? Would that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is why it's probably the most effective, is that human needs are that we want to help someone else, help you, help them in that, so you connect on that level with that bona fide buyer approach. So here it is. My name's Wade Webb from Agents Boost Realty, and I'm just in the area to ask you for your help. I'm wondering if you can help me. I'm currently working with buyers, John and Susan. There's nothing currently on the market in their area in this neighborhood that fits their needs, and they want to be in your neighborhood. So I've made a promise to Bob and Sue and Bob and Betty that I would go through the area and ask if there's anybody there. They have 2 young children. They're relocating from another area. They've fallen in love with this area, and we hear great things about that school, hence why they want to be here. I was wondering if you're considering selling yourself or knew of anybody in the neighborhood considering now in the near future, and maybe you could help me find this young family their new home. And then I pause and wait. Okay? And so I'll share the details, I'll pause and wait, and I'll see. And a lot of times people will be impressed. They'll say, wow, that's great. You're going and helping them and being proactive, and that where I wish I had that kind of service when we were looking, right? And they would be like, okay, well, I heard that this person, they start really giving you the inside track of what's going on in Asteria Lane, and they tell you and share with you what's going on, and they start giving you some lead opportunities whether you wanted them or not, okay? So this script and this dialogue and this approach is the methodology in which I say, hands down, to coaching clients that I help and agents help, this gets listing appointments more than anything. Now, you got to establish your fee, you got to establish the asking price before you bring people around, but we'll deal with that in another call in another time and place. But using a bona fide buyer is triggering listing presentation, listing opportunities for agents out there. Now, before I go, I ask them if they have an agent of choice. I let them know how I offer this, and I'll go through that adding them to the database dialogue in a few minutes. But I don't want to lose that opportunity. So, for example, let's say, you know what, we're not thinking of selling ourselves, and I'm not sure what's going on in the area. Now's not a good time. I'll say, hey, that's great. Hey, before I go, I'll use the afterthought dialogue of adding them to that. It's called the Mayor Campaign dialogue, and I'll share that with you in a couple minutes, okay? So, bona fide buyer approach, the single most effective approach, connecting human needs and connecting people to wanting them to help you help these people. Tell the story about the people that you have, you'll increase your chances of getting that approach, okay? If they're not home, I'm going to share with you a methodology of what you can do that'll still trigger listing opportunities, and that's leaving a door hanger behind, and I'll show you the door hanger that we use, a universal door hanger. Any questions on that bona fide buyer approach, and does everybody understand why it's more effective than the other approaches?
Any questions? Any questions? I think we're good.
We're good? All right. Second approach is the just sold. So again, recent sale on the street, in their area, could be yours, could be the brokerages, right? Who wouldn't want to know the latest sale price and the benchmark price on the street in their neighborhood? Everybody in our room and on this call would want to know that information. I would want to know that, okay? There's nothing better to introduce yourself and let them know who you are and let them know the new benchmark sale price on their street, what it looks like and that, and how it was offered that, and how much it sold for, and curbing that curiosity. I have never had anybody become offensive because I'm asking them to help me help a buyer, or offensive because I've shared with them the new benchmark sale price on their street, right? That is something that is of value and interest to the consumer, so they're not feeling like you're wasting their time and pestering and bugging them with that information. So here's the script. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. It's Wade Webb here from Agents Boost Realty, and I'm in the area to let you know the people of a recent sale on your street. From our marketing efforts, we had buyers that missed out on that home and were still interested in your neighborhood, so we're asking other people if they considered selling now in the near future. That home was a 2-story, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 3,600 square foot home, and a double-car garage. Asking price in your neighborhood would be $1.595 million and sold for $1.587 million. And that. So here are some of the details on the home, and if you can think of someone else that's interested like yourself in selling to one of these buyers that we've generated from our marketing efforts, we would love to follow up and provide you with that service and opportunity to have those buyers come by and see that home. Okay? So this is the just sold approach, using that benchmark pricing, letting them know from our marketing efforts that there are still people looking, that missed out, that are interested, and I'm just in here. When one person sells, we tend to see that other people want to sell as well, And I was just curious if that person would be you, or if you're familiar with anybody else on the street that might be interested. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, so and so, I heard them fighting the other night. There might be a divorce situation there. Oh, thanks for the intel. And this guy's got 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot out of it. So there's an opportunity there for health and lead and that. So they start sharing with you in these lead opportunities and that for you to follow up. Okay. And that, my friend, is the second best way to approach is from a just sold standpoint, and sharing that benchmark sale pricing to the residents in that area and adding value to them. They want to know that information anyway. Okay? So that's a better approach as well. Now, another approach, which is a good approach, is the just listed. Now, I'm in the neighborhood and I'm wanting to let them and share with them the new benchmark asking price on their street. So again, I don't usually get any pushback, but just listeds and invites to open houses don't trigger that possibility of you selling me and bringing me money and selling my house. Like they say, oh, if they sold for that much, I wonder if I could get from mine. And then you're like, well, why don't I come in? And now a good time, or tomorrow will be better for you, right? So their curiosity and that whole greed factor and that whole money factor of a just sold or a bona fide buyer wanting to buy has a different effect on the consumer than a just listed and an agent open to an open house, okay? So we're sharing the new benchmark price. Nothing better to introduce yourself and share what the new benchmark asking price is, how it looks like. And here's my other angle for these people. I'm wondering if you could help us, help your neighbor, and help you select your next new neighbor. Okay, so get them. You might know a friend, you might know a family member or somebody, a coworker that might want to move into this area. So we're going to ask you if you could help us help handpick and select your new neighbor without letting someone else try and select and handpick your new neighbor, if that makes sense. And we want to share with you the new benchmark pricing. So benefit number one, new benchmark pricing for asking on your street. Benefit number two is we'd like you to help us help you select your new neighbor, okay? And have some sort of decision and hand in that, helping us share with your friends and your family and your co-workers about this property and help your neighbor sell, okay? That's the just listed approach. Any questions on the just listed, just sold, or bona fide legit buyer approach on that standpoint?
No.
So it goes, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Wade Webb from Agents Boost Realty here. I'm in the area to let you know that about a listing that we've just taken on your street. Nobody knows the neighborhood better than you do, and you may know a friend, family member, or coworker that might be interested in this home, so you can help us help you choose your next new neighbor. It's a 2-story, 4-bed, 3-bath, 3,600, 1.595 million asking price. Here's an information on it. If you come across anybody that might be interested, could you just let us know? We'd be happy to follow them up and give them excellent service. Obviously, we're not going to pressure them, but we would love your help in assisting in choosing your next neighbor. Okay? That's the information, and that's what I'm trying to share with them and ask them to help us help them with their new neighbor pick, and also to let them know the new benchmark pricing. Again, a good approach, but not as effective as a just sold or a bona fide buyer. The last approach would be this, inviting the neighbors to a private neighborhood VIP open house. So I'm bringing the neighbors for the 15 minutes before my actual open house time. 2 reasons why I do this. Number 1, the neighbors are just looky-loos. Number 2, I'm going to create a sense of busyness at the open house. When the public comes, they're going to see all the nosy neighbors, and they're going to think this is a hot listing, because there's all kinds of people already at the listing and the open house, and they, what the heck is going on? So it's a marketing strategy too, to use them as pawns to create traffic and excitement for the public to come and see it, but also to get the neighbors out of the way 15 minutes early so I can focus on capturing people at the open house, okay? Simple but powerful way of doing it, and having them come through again, help us help you select your new neighbor, and you may know somebody who wants to do it. Come by and have a look at it, and create a buzz and excitement. And I don't tell them why I want them to come early, but there's a method to my madness, inviting people prior to the open house in the public time. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my name is Wade Webb from Agents Boost Realty. I'm in the area to let people know about a new listing, and we just took on the street and invite you to our neighborhood VIP viewing of this home. So coming up on Sunday, 1 to 2, I'm going to invite you to come at 12:45 before everybody else says, because nobody knows the neighborhood better than you do, and you may have a friend, family member, or coworker that might be interested in this beautiful home. So come by at 12:45 for the VIP area. Get the better coffee, get the better donuts, get the better snacks before the public comes. Take a look at this beautiful home and come through and see if you can think of somebody and help us help you with your new neighbor. That would be my invite to open house approach. Okay? Any questions on those approaches or those scripts or those dialogues, guys?
Any questions? I know, Wade, the just sold works very well for me.
Perfect. Perfect.
Because it does appeal to the greed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every agent that tells me their door knocking success, Rams, comes from a just sold or a bona fide buyer approach, for sure.
I had an older gentleman, he's 83, sold the house across the street from him. And he was a lonely guy living alone. And when I knocked and talked to him, he wasn't interested in selling. And then by the end of our conversation, we talked about the price. He's like, well, I think I might like to go to Livermore. It's closer to my daughter. And he lives in Pleasanton here, which is about 6 miles.
There you go.
So the greed really gets you.
Well, and it's curiosity more than anything. You're like, wow, if they got that for that house, I wonder what I could get for mine. That's the little voice that's kicking in their heads, right? Perfect. Now, when to door knock? My coaching clients are all telling me, guys, feedback is Monday to Friday, 3:30 to 6:30, Saturday from 9:30 to 11:30. Okay, and commit to being out. And when I started with an organization, Realty World, when I started in the 90s, they made us do every listing, every sale, every buyer to do what we called a tell 20. So you had to go around that listing, around that sale, around that open house, around the neighborhood for a buyer, and make a minimum goal of knocking and talking to 20 people before you quit. Does that make sense? So you don't quit till you've talked to 20 minimum. Then you call it a shift and call it a day and call it a session. Okay? It's a numbers game. Now, most coaches would say for every 50 conversations to 40 conversations, you're getting an appointment. So you got to do at least a minimum of 20 to even have a chance of getting an appointment, if that makes sense. Okay? Monday to Friday, 3:30 to 6:30. Saturdays, 9:30, 11:30. Sundays, kind of offside from a door knocking perspective, and that's kind of family day and Sabbath day. Okay? So those are the times that people are telling me are the most effective from all the people that I deal with and coach. Now, the key is that you're providing value when you're door knocking and you're wanting to collect the gold. And that is adding them to the database and becoming their agent of choice. So what is the script and dialogue we use to connect and to collect them and to become that? And that's the Joe Nagel and a good friend of mine, Joe Nagel's Mayor campaign script. And Joe's script goes like this. Hey, before I go, you guys, just out of curiosity, if you had a friend or family member buying or selling, who do you refer and recommend your real estate business to? Question mark. You pause. And they say, you know what, Wade, we don't have anybody. And say, okay, great. The reason why I'd ask is that I love that opportunity to become that person. You know, from time to time, I provide my clients with valuable information. I call it my client appreciation program, my CAP program. And we provide market statistics, best buys, just listeds, just solds, articles on home improvement, protecting your identity theft, mortgage information, things like that. And would that kind of information be of interest to you from a trusted advisor like myself? Hey, and what would be the best place for me to send that information to? And then before I go, in case I needed to get a hold of you about a hot tip or a deal or something that's critical to you in your neighborhood and your home, what's the best number that I could reach you at? So your ability to communicate, the more value that you provide in your CAP program, the better results you're going to get in people sharing their contact information. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to encourage you guys this. I'm not only, when I'm door knocking, telling them about my CAP program, I'm bringing laminated samples of the items that I provide to my CAP program. Everybody hear that? Bring laminated samples of the items you provide in your CAP program. It's like going to rob a bank and bringing a gun. When you're going out door knocking, bring the gun. The gun is the laminated things that you provide, the articles and things like that you provide for them in the CAP program. When they see the items, the visual perception and seeing those items increases their decision to say, those look good. I would like that kind of information. How do I get that? Is everybody clear? See the difference between me telling them what I provide versus showing and selling them what I provide?
So is there a reason why you do that instead of leaving them a flyer? You want to get their info.
Correct. So I want to show them what I provide. Exactly. So that's an excellent question, Annabelle, because I don't want to be like every realtor. I don't want to give them the stuff. It's like when you go fishing. It's like a realtor that goes fishing. They take the worm off the hook and they hand it and they place it down into the fish's mouth and they go, there you go, little buddy. You got what you wanted. See you later. And the fish swims away. Instead, I'm going to show them the hook and the worm and then I'm going to make them bite by giving me their contact information, because I'm not giving them the worm, Annabelle. I'm showing them the worm, and I'm making them give them something in exchange for getting the worm and getting my bait and getting that stuff. Does that make sense, that analogy?
Or you can like show it to them on an iPad or something too,
Yeah,
right?
you could do that as well. I mean, a lot of times I find when I hand it to them, the plastic laminated samples, and they get to touch them and see them and read it and feel it and look at it, they're even more intrigued about wanting to give their contact information to you. Okay, guys?
Okay, worth a shot.
So that was Gigi, just so you know.
Okay, sorry, Gigi. Great question. And so I find that most agents just give the people what they want, and then they just swim away. So I want to show them what I've got in exchange for, so the more value I can perceivably show them in exchange for their contact information, it better pop, it better look good, and it better be nice to intrigue them to want to give up that information and their personal private information. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah,
Yep.
and that could possibly work at an open house too.
Yeah.
Possibly.
100%. You should have those same items laid out on a kitchen counter with a master copy sticker on each of those items.
Good.
Okay?
Very
We're
good.
in the contact capturing business, right? That's what we do. So when I'm out door knocking, if I'm not capturing contacts and not using bait to get them intrigued and engaged to want to give their contact information, and I'm not out there capturing those 4 out of 5 that don't have an agent of choice, I'm completely should have just stayed home then.
I have a question.
Please.
You mentioned John Nigo. John Nigo is using working directly with Brian Buffini, and Brian Buffini have all these editions of items of interest to the potential clients.
Yes.
Do you recommend that system? Do you recommend it, Brian Buffini's materials?
That system is a fantastic system. What I love about it is that Joe Nigo's script, that Mayor campaign script, is the best script and dialogue I've heard on how to capture people's contact information without me putting a gun to their head and saying, give me your name, give me your information, and give me your phone number. His Mayor campaign script is so smooth and so natural and so easy to capture people's contact information. It's unobtrusive, and it just seems like it's something that you could naturally say to somebody to get their contact information, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay?
Good.
Great question.
All right.
Yeah, I just love his dialogue because it's one of the most natural, smooth dialogues and way of asking for people's contact information. And you ask it on the way out as an afterthought as you go, okay, before you go each house. Okay? Now, every time I add somebody to the database, the last tip is to leave them with a little something, something. So all good door knockers always reward people that they've added to their database with a welcome gift. So, NER says the number one most appreciated welcome gift or thank you gift on a door knock is a magnet with valuable content on it. So it could be like measurement conversions, or it could be like dates of events, or it could be like a sporting team. Like it could be the Golden State Warriors season calendar on a magnet or something like that. But leaving them with a magnet with some sort of valuable content information, NAR says is the number one valued item to give them. But you could give them a grocery pad list, you could give them your own pen, anything like that. But does everybody say you want to leave them with a little appreciation gift, a little bit of a token in that? So a good door knocker always leaves them with a little something, especially when they become first and welcoming them to your database and becoming their agent of choice. Everybody see that? My number one guy does 192 sales. He knocks on doors every day, and he always leaves grocery lists, pads, and magnets every day. And he does 192 transactions a year, and he door knocks religiously every day, and always leaves he's got a garage of grocery pads, not exaggerating, a garage full of grocery pads, pens, and magnets and leaves that with every gift person that he meets with, and as a token of his appreciation, and a little top of mind item. Okay? So I'd encourage you to leave them with a little something as well. Now, one other thing I know that works in Genius is a universal door hanger. So this is a copy of a universal door hanger. So the hanging part says, sorry I missed you. The middle part is all blank, and then you want to make the bottom part perforated so it tears off your business card on the bottom of the door hanger. And now this door hanger, guess what, becomes a universal door hanger that you can leave behind in case you miss somebody. And before you go out the night before, you handwrite out your message. So we have a buyer message. We just sold message. come to our VIP neighbor invite open house. We just listed something. You handwrite that on there, and you handwrite out 20, because I told you minimum 20, and you don't leave until you've talked to or left the 20 in that. So I don't want you to knock on the door. It's not let's knock on the door and run. That's not what we're doing. And so I know agents that I coach that leave the door hanger, and the door hanger triggers calls. So one of my rookies in my office last year, she took 26 listings door knocking, guys, 26 listings. First year. She got 6 of them from the door hanger and 20 of them from talking to people. And she used the bona fide buyer and the just sold approach every single time. And Sarah had this universal door hanger and actually got 6 listing calls from her door hanger and handwriting out her message and leaving it behind on the ones that weren't in there. Okay? Everybody like the door hanger, universal door hanger idea? It's just, you can use it for so many different scenarios now, and it makes more sense to have a blank one. And then make sure you get the perforated bottom section where you can tear it off, and it's a business card tear off on that universal door hanger as well. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right? Any questions on that process there and for the door knocking process? Does everybody find that helpful?
Yes.
Thanks, Wade.
Yeah, perfect.
Any questions?
Any questions?
All right. Thanks, Wade.
So guys, take what I learned. I'll send the slide deck. Follow through with that. Plan to go with the best approach being that bona fide buyer and that just sold approach. Try and design yourselves a universal door hanger. Put together those laminated samples of what you provide in your CAP program. Learn the scripts, and I'll send all these scripts in that, and learn that script on how to add them to the Mayor Campaign script and how to politely and professionally add them to your database, guys. And like I said, one of my rookies last year had great results doing this and that, and new to the business, and used other people's buyers and other people in the office's listings and sales and that, and generated listing opportunities for herself to be able to get her started and kick-started in her first year. And you can do it as a vet and a newbie. It doesn't matter. It's up to you guys, okay?
Thank you, Wade.
Sounds good.
Okay, guys, you guys have a fabulous week, and we'll chat next time soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. All the best, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.